Mama, I love you.
Oh, my sweet boy.
Thank you for everything. I love you.
I love you too.
Mama, I love you.
Oh, my sweet boy.
Thank you for everything. Come here.
I love you too, son.
I know, Mama, I know.
Three black SUVs rolled into a small Georgia town, the kind nobody in Hadley Springs had ever seen, the kind that cost more than most houses there. People gathered in the town square. CNN cameras pointed at a wooden stage. On that stage stood an elderly black woman. Tears streamed down her face, her hands trembled. Years earlier, she had taken in 3 white boys nobody wanted, 3 brothers the whole town had rejected. She raised them with nothing but love and prayers whispered in the dark. Then they were ripped away from her. She never saw them again. Until that day. But here is what she did not know. Those 3 boys had become some of the most powerful men in the Southeast, and what they did next made the entire town fall to its knees. But before we get to that moment, we need to go back, way back, to a woman who had no idea her life was about to change forever. Hadley Springs, Georgia. Population small enough that everybody knew everybody, and everybody had an opinion about everybody else. Loretta Hayes lived in a 3-bedroom house her grandmother built long ago, wooden floors that creaked, a wraparound porch with a rocking chair, a vegetable garden out back that she tended every morning before sunrise. She was a woman in her mid-40s, never married, no children, not for lack of wanting. See, Loretta had dreamed of being a mother her whole life, but after 2 miscarriages in her 30s, she stopped trying, stopped hoping, poured all that love into Sunday school kids and stray cats and tomato plants. She worked 2 jobs, mornings at the elementary school cafeteria, weekends cleaning the county courthouse, took home little each month. The mortgage took most of it, you do the math. Her roof had been leaking for some time. She had a blue tarp over the back corner of the living room, 3 buckets catching drips when it rained. Repair estimate was high, her savings were low. She had applied for a home repair grant through the county, been waiting. The lady at the office kept saying she was in the queue, but Loretta did not complain. That was not her way. Every Sunday she sat in the 3rd pew at Greater Hope Baptist Church. Pastor Harlan Reed knew her by heart. Knew she would bring potato salad to every potluck. Knew she would volunteer first and leave last. He watched her with the children after service, the way she knelt down to their level, the way she really listened when they spoke. Pastor Reed noticed something the rest of the town did not see. Loretta Hayes had a gift for broken things. Her neighbor Marlene Tate came by most Tuesdays. They would sit on the porch with sweet tea while Marlene's kids played in the yard. "Loretta, have you ever thought about leaving this place?" Marlene asked one afternoon. "Your cousin in Atlanta has room." Loretta smiled, tired but warm. "And who is going to watch a grandma's tomatoes? Who is going to make sure Pastor Reed does not put too much sugar in the lemonade?" She laughed. But Marlene saw it. The loneliness sitting behind Loretta's eyes, like a permanent guest who never left. Every night Loretta prayed the same prayer, had been praying it for years. "Lord, if I am meant to be a mother, send me someone to love. If I am not, help me make peace with this empty house." She had made peace with it, mostly. Above her fireplace hung a small wooden plaque, hand-carved by her grandmother long ago. The edges worn smooth from years of dusting. It read, "A house becomes a home when it holds someone else's pain." Loretta had read those words countless times. She was about to understand what they really meant. Now here's the thing about Hadley Springs. It was not openly hostile. No burning crosses, no shouted slurs. But there was a texture to the silence. When Loretta walked into the grocery store, conversations paused. Just a beat, then continued. When she applied to be a substitute teacher, she had some college credits. The school board thanked her for her interest. They never called back. She told herself it did not bother her. Told herself she was content with the cafeteria, content with the mop and the courthouse floors. But some nights, lying in that too quiet house, she wondered what it would feel like to be chosen for something, to be someone's first pick instead of their last resort. She did not know it yet, but she was about to find out. That Tuesday night, the phone rang. It was Eleanor Brooks, social worker from the county office. Loretta knew her from high school. "Loretta," Elena's voice was strained. "I know this is last minute. I know it is a lot to ask." Loretta sat up straighter. "But I have got 3 boys, brothers, and nobody will take them. I mean, nobody." Loretta's heart started beating faster. "They have been through several foster homes," Elena continued. "The last family, there was an incident." "What kind of incident?" A long pause, the kind that makes people stop asking questions and start closing doors. Loretta looked at her grandmother's plaque on the mantel. "A house becomes a home when it holds someone else's pain." "Elena," she said slowly, "tell me about these boys." And what Elena told her next would change everything. But what Elena did not say, what she could not say, was why these 3 boys seemed to be erased from every record that mattered. Why no relatives came forward. Why a family with their last name had been mentioned in the Atlanta papers years ago, connected to money, serious money. Elena did not know that part. Neither did Loretta, but they were both about to find out. Loretta gripped the phone cord tighter. "3 boys?" she repeated. "All brothers?" "Yes," Elena's voice cracked. "Parker is the oldest, Tucker is the middle one. And Grady? Grady is the youngest. Why will not anyone take them?" Elena hesitated. The silence stretched too long. There is history, Loretta, with the family, things I cannot get into, but I promise you, these boys are not dangerous. They are just damaged. Damaged. The word hung in the air. The youngest one, Elena continued, Grady, he has not spoken in some time. Not one word. The middle one, Tucker, has been suspended for fighting, always protecting his brothers. And Parker, she paused. Parker is the oldest, but he talks like he does not expect to see much more of life. Loretta closed her eyes. What happened to their parents? Car accident. Both gone instantly, and no family came forward. Another pause, longer this time. There might be family, somewhere, but they have not claimed the boys. And honestly, at this point the state has stopped looking. Loretta's jaw tightened. 3 children, orphaned, abandoned, bounced through homes, and now the system was ready to split them up. If I cannot find placement soon, Elena said, they are separating them. 3 different group homes, 3 different counties. Loretta's heart clenched. They have already lost everything, Elena whispered. Their parents, their home. Each other is all they have left. Loretta looked around her small house, the leaking roof, the buckets, the empty bedrooms she had stopped going into. She thought about her savings. She thought about the tarp flapping in the wind. Then she thought about a young boy who had stopped speaking, who had looked at the world and decided it was not worth talking to anymore. Elena, yes, bring them here. The day came gray and cold. October winds scattered leaves across Loretta's porch as the county van pulled up, not a sedan, a van, because they needed room for 3 boys and everything they owned. Everything they owned fit in 3 garbage bags. Elena walked them up the path. The oldest boy came first, Parker, carrying himself like a grown man, jaw set, hands clenched into fists, eyes scanning for threats. He had been the parent for some time now. Behind him walked Tucker, wiry and tense. His left eye had a fading bruise. His gaze swept the property like he was calculating escape routes. And hiding behind both of them was Grady, small for his age, clutching a battered leather notebook against his chest like a shield. Loretta noticed his shoes first, holes in both toes. Then she noticed the notebook, old leather, worn edges, gold initials embossed on the corner, almost invisible now, HW. She did not think anything of it then. She should have. Loretta did something none of the other foster parents had done. She stepped off the porch, walked down to meet them, and knelt right there on the pathway, eye level with Grady. I am Miss Loretta, she said softly. This is my house, and as long as you are here, it is your house too. Parker stared at her. He had heard this speech before. Every foster home said the same things. I have got 3 rules, Loretta continued. We eat together, we do not lie to each other, and nobody in this house goes to bed without knowing they are loved. Tucker snorted. That is 4 rules. Loretta did not miss a beat. The 4th one is not a rule, it is a promise. Something flickered in Parker's eyes, just for a moment. Across the street, Mrs. Vivian Hargrove watched from her window, lips pressed into a thin line. 3 houses down, Sheriff Vance Whitaker slowed his patrol car, made a mental note of the scene, did not stop. Loretta felt the eyes on her. She had felt them her whole life, but today, for the first time, she did not care. She reached out and took Grady's hand, gently, carefully, like holding something precious. Come on inside, she said. I made dinner. That first night they sat around her kitchen table, baked chicken, rice, green beans from the garden. Parker and Tucker ate like they were afraid the food would disappear. Shoveling it in, eyes darting, Grady pushed his food around the plate. Did not eat, did not speak. Grady, honey. Loretta's voice was gentle. You do not have to talk, but you do have to eat, even just a little. He looked up at her, first time he had made eye contact with an adult in some time. Slowly he picked up his fork. Took one bite. Loretta's eyes filled with tears. She blinked them away before anyone could see. But what she did not know, what none of them knew, was that someone very powerful was already looking for these boys. And when he found them, everything would fall apart. The early months were the hardest. Parker tested Loretta constantly. Came home late without explanation, talked back, slammed doors, waited for her to give up like everyone else. She did not. One Tuesday night, he stumbled in late, found Loretta sitting on the porch, plate of food in her lap, still warm. I do not know where you were, she said calmly. You are going to tell me eventually. That is one of our rules. Parker braced himself for the lecture. But right now you are going to eat, because that is one of my promises. He stared at her, confused. No yelling, no threats, just a plate of chicken and a woman who refused to quit. He sat down. He ate. The next Tuesday he was home earlier. Tucker was different. His pain came out through his fists. Calls from the principal. Fighting in the hallway. Fighting at recess. Fighting anyone who looked at his brothers wrong. Loretta showed up every time. Sat in those meetings. Held his hand under the table where no one could see. Mrs. Hayes, the principal said sternly, this behavior is unacceptable. It is, Miss Loretta corrected, and I agree, but I am curious, has anyone asked this boy why he is fighting, or do you all just skip to the punishment? The principal had no answer. That weekend, Loretta drove Tucker to the community center, signed him up for the youth boxing program. You want to throw punches? She told him. Fine, but you are going to do it the right way, with gloves, with rules, with respect. Tucker found something in that ring, control, discipline, a way to channel the rage that had been eating him alive. He came home tired instead of angry. And Grady did not speak, not for weeks. Loretta did not push. Every night she sat beside his bed and read to him Charlotte's Web, the Chronicles of Narnia, where the red fern grows. He listened. His eyes followed every word. One night, she was tucking him in. Miss Loretta, her heart stopped. His voice was barely a whisper, rusty from disuse. Yes, baby, will you still be here in the morning? Loretta's eyes burned. She blinked hard. I will be here in the morning. And the morning after that. And every morning, you need me. That night, Grady slept through without nightmares. First time since his parents died. Then came a freak ice storm. Worst in memory. Power lines down across the county. The temperature dropped sharply. Loretta's house lost electricity in the middle of the night. She bundled the boys in every blanket she owned, gathered them in the living room, but the temperature kept dropping. That leaking roof? The tarp had frozen solid. Ice was forming on the inside of the windows. Then Grady started coughing, at first just a little, then more, then he was shivering violently, his lips turning blue. Loretta checked his forehead, burning hot and freezing cold at the same time. No car, her old sedan had died some time ago. No phone, lines were down. The nearest neighbor was a distance away, through ice. She looked at Grady, his breathing was getting shallow. She made a decision. Parker, Tucker, stay here. Keep your brother warm. Pile on top of him if you have to. Where are you going? Parker's voice cracked. To get help. Loretta put on her grandmother's old coat, wrapped a scarf around her face, and walked out into the storm. The world outside was pure white chaos, ice on every surface, trees bending under the weight. The wind was screaming so loud she could barely hear herself think. She walked, one step at a time, fell twice, got back up. Her hands went numb first, then her feet, then her face. But she kept walking. When she reached Marlene's door, she pounded with both fists. Did not stop until her gloves were bloody. The door opened. Loretta? Marlene's eyes went wide. What in God's name? Grady. Loretta could barely speak. Cannot breathe. Need your truck. Now. They made it to the hospital. Barely. The ER doctor said Grady had early-stage hypothermia and a respiratory infection. Another hour in that cold, and it could have been pneumonia. Could have been worse. Loretta sat in that waiting room until sunrise. Parker and Tucker pressed against her sides. All three of them were exhausted. All three of them were terrified, but alive. Around early morning, Parker spoke. Why are you doing this? Loretta looked at him. Doing what, baby? This, all of this. His voice broke. We are not even yours. Loretta was quiet for a long moment, then she put her arm around him. Let me tell you something my grandmother told me, she said. She said, family is not about blood. Family is about who shows up when the ice comes. She pulled him closer. I am showing up. That is all I know how to do. Parker did not pull away. For the first time since his parents died, he let himself lean on someone. After that night, something shifted. Parker started calling her Mama Loretta instead of Miss Loretta. Tucker stopped looking for escape routes. Grady drew her a picture, a house with a yellow roof, 4 stick figures holding hands. He wrote my family at the top. Spelled wrong. Perfect anyway. She hung it on the refrigerator. But not everyone in town saw it the way the boys did. Mrs. Vivian Hargrove stopped Loretta outside the grocery store one afternoon. Loretta, I have known you since you were a girl. Her voice was ice. And I have to say people are talking. 3 white boys in your house? It does not look right. Loretta met her gaze. Calm but steel underneath, Mrs. Hargrove, I appreciate your concern, but those boys needed a home, and I had one. Now if you will excuse me, I have got dinner to make. She walked away, did not look back. Her hands were shaking, but she did not let anyone see. Word spread about the hospital run. Most people admired it, some did not. Whispers followed Loretta through town, at the grocery store, at church, even at the courthouse where she mopped floors. She heard them all, but she kept her head high, kept showing up for those boys, kept being their mother in every way that mattered, because that is who Loretta Hayes was, and nothing, not gossip, not judgment, not even an ice storm, was going to change that. What she did not know was that someone else had been watching too, someone far away, someone powerful, someone who had been looking for these boys for a very long time. And he was about to show up at her door. Time passed. The boys grew, not just taller, stronger, whole. Parker smiled now, real smiles, the kind that reached his eyes. He had started talking about college, about maybe becoming a social worker someday, helping kids like him. Tucker won the county youth boxing championship, brought home a gold medal and hung it on the refrigerator next to Grady's drawing. Grady was reading above his level, still quiet, but the good kind of quiet now, the kind that meant he was thinking, not hiding. Loretta filed the paperwork for official adoption. Elena helped her through every step. The process was slow, mountains of forms, background checks, home inspections, but it was happening. One Sunday evening, all 4 of them sat on the porch after dinner. The sun was setting gold and pink over the garden. Grady was reading aloud from his leather notebook. He had started writing his own stories in it now. Adventures about brave knights and magic kingdoms. Loretta listened to every word. Tucker tossed a tennis ball in the air, catching it, tossing it again, relaxed. Parker was helping Loretta shell peas. His hands moved automatically like he had done it 100 times, because he had. Mama Loretta? Loretta's heart still skipped when he called her that. Yes, baby, I just wanted to say. He paused, looked down at the peas. Thank you for not giving up on us. Loretta set down the bowl, took his hand. Baby, I could never give up on you, not ever. The moment hung there. Perfect, complete. None of them noticed the black car at the end of the road, but it had been there for some time now, watching. The next afternoon, Loretta saw it again, parked just past the old oak tree, engine off, windows tinted so dark she could not see inside. Not a car from Hadley Springs, too new, too expensive, too out of place. She mentioned it to Sheriff Whitaker after church. Probably just lost, he said. City folks with their GPS taking wrong turns. But the car came back. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, always the same spot, always watching. Then the day came. Loretta was hanging laundry in the backyard when she heard an engine, different this time, deeper. She walked around to the front of the house. A black limousine sat in her driveway, the kind of car she had only seen in movies, long and sleek and completely wrong for this dusty road. The back door opened. A man stepped out. Silver hair, expensive suit, the kind that cost more than her mortgage. His face was hard, cold, like someone who had spent a lifetime giving orders and never hearing no. Behind him came a younger man, slick, carrying a leather briefcase. The older man looked at the house, at the peeling paint, at the tarp still covering part of the roof. His lip curled, just slightly. Then his eyes found Loretta. Miss Hayes, that is me. My name is Warren Hargrove. He did not offer his hand. And I am here for my grandchildren. Loretta felt the ground shift beneath her feet. You're what? Parker, Tucker, Grady. He said the names like he was reading a list. They are my daughter's children. My blood, and I have come to take them home. The screen door creaked behind Loretta. She turned. Parker stood there, face pale, eyes locked on the old man. You, Parker whispered. The word came out broken, jagged. You are the one she wrote letters to. You are the one who never answered. Warren's expression did not change. That is a conversation for later. Right now, we need to discuss the legalities. He nodded to the man with the briefcase. My lawyers will explain. But Loretta did not hear the lawyers. She was watching Parker, watching his hands ball into fists, watching the healing crack apart in an instant. And she knew. Everything was about to change. The next weeks were a nightmare. Warren Hargrove was not just rich, he was powerful. The kind of powerful that bent laws and broke people without breaking a sweat. His lawyers came with documents, stacks of them, birth certificates, blood tests, custody petitions. They came with a simple message. Warren Hargrove was the boy's only living blood relative. He had legal rights. Loretta had none. She was just a foster mother, temporary, disposable. Loretta hired a lawyer anyway, the only one she could afford. Up against a team from Atlanta that charged far more. She brought witnesses, Pastor Reed, Marlene Tate, the ER doctor from the ice storm night, teachers who had watched the boys transform. None of it mattered. Warren's lawyers had one argument, blood, and in Georgia, blood still meant everything. The judge ruled in Warren's favor, custody transferred immediately. The morning they left, Loretta stood on the porch, the same porch where she had knelt and promised 3 broken boys that they were home. Now she watched that home being ripped away. Parker came to her first, tall, strong, but his eyes were young again, lost. Mama Loretta, his voice cracked. We do not want to go. Please, tell them. I know, baby. Tears streamed down her face. I know, but I did everything I could. The law does not see what we are. Tucker hugged her so hard she could not breathe. His shoulders shook. The boy who never cried was sobbing into her shoulder. Do not let the anger win, she whispered. Remember what I taught you. Control it. Do not let it control you. Then Grady, he stood in front of her, small, silent, holding his leather notebook. Slowly he held it out to her. Keep it for me, Mama Loretta. His voice was steady, stronger than it should have been. I will come back for it. Loretta took the notebook, pressed it against her heart. I will keep it safe, baby, I promise. Parker turned back one last time, his eyes locked on hers. We will come back, Mama Loretta, I swear. No matter how long it takes. Then Warren's driver opened the limousine door. One by one, the boys climbed inside. The door closed. The engine started. The black car rolled down the dirt road, turned at the corner, disappeared. Loretta stood on that porch until the sun went down, alone, holding a leather notebook with the initials H.W. She did not know it then, but she would not see those boys again for years. Years is a long time. Long enough for a town to forget. Long enough for hope to fade. Long enough for a woman to wonder if she dreamed it all, but Loretta never forgot, and she never stopped trying. The first year she wrote letters, one every week, sent them to Warren's address in Atlanta, the one his lawyers had listed on the court documents. Every single letter came back, returned to sender. She tried calling. The number was disconnected. When she found a new one, it was disconnected too. She hired a private investigator. He found out the boys had been sent to a boarding school in New England. Expensive, elite, no visitors without permission. She drove to that school, stood outside the iron gates, begged to see them. The security guard was polite but firm. "Ma'am, Mr. Hargrove has made his instructions clear. You are on the restricted list. I'm sorry." She drove home, alone. After that, the trail went cold. No forwarding address, no phone numbers, no way in. Warren Hargrove had erased her from his grandchildren's lives as thoroughly as if she had never existed. Meanwhile, the town turned on her. Rumors spread like wildfire, the kind that sound almost reasonable if you do not know the truth. Heard the grandfather found out she was mistreating them. Why else would a rich man come all that way? She probably just wanted the foster checks anyway. Nobody said it to her face, but she heard the whispers, saw the sideways glances, felt the silence when she walked into the room. The school board let her go from the cafeteria. Budget cuts, they said. But Loretta knew better. Mrs. Vivian Hargrove sat on that board. She found work cleaning houses, then offices, then whatever she could get. Then came illness. Loretta found a lump in her breast, tried to ignore it, could not. The diagnosis, breast cancer, early stage, treatable. But treatment cost money. She had no insurance, no savings, nothing left. She sold her car. She took out a second mortgage on the house, her grandmother's house. She sold the jewelry her grandmother left her, the last pieces of her inheritance. Months of chemotherapy alone. Marlene Tate drove her to every appointment, held her hand while she vomited, brought her soup when she could not eat. Loretta survived. The cancer did not, but the debt remained, added to her mortgage. Then came the pandemic. Everything shut down. The courthouse closed. Her cleaning jobs vanished. No income, no savings, a mortgage she could not pay. She started doing whatever she could, babysitting, selling cornbread, pulling weeds for neighbors who used to gossip about her. And every night she prayed, not for herself, for them. Lord, keep my boys safe. Keep them healthy, keep them happy, and if it is your will, let them know I never stopped loving them. Warren Hargrove died. Loretta read about it in the newspaper, a small obituary in the Atlanta Journal. Billionaire philanthropist, founder of Hargrove Capital Partners, survived by 3 grandchildren. 3 grandchildren, her boys. She tried to find them again. Searched online at the library, asked Eleanor Brooks to check old records. Nothing. They had disappeared into Warren's world completely. She did not know that across the country 3 young men were searching for her too. After Warren died, everything changed. The will was read. Parker, Tucker, and Grady inherited everything. The first thing Parker did was hire an investigator, the best money could buy. Find Loretta Hayes, whatever it takes. But Loretta had no digital footprint, no social media, no cell phone, no email. She still lived in the same house, still had the same landline number. But the investigator's letters got lost in the mail, or thrown away with the junk, or returned because the address format was wrong. It took years of dead ends, false leads, near misses, until finally the investigator confirmed it. Loretta Hayes was alive, still in Hadley Springs, still in her grandmother's house, but barely because the bank sent a notice. Behind on mortgage payments, total owed, days to pay, or the house would be seized. Loretta sat in her kitchen that night, the same kitchen where she had fed 3 hungry boys years ago. She held Grady's leather notebook, still unopened, still waiting for him. Outside, the roof still leaked. The bucket still caught the drips. She had little in her account. "Lord," she whispered, "I do not know what to do anymore. I have got nothing left." She looked at the notebook, traced the gold initials with her finger, H. "But if I cannot see them again, at least let them know. Let them know I kept my promise. I kept it safe. I kept loving them every single day." She did not know that 3 men were already on their way, driving through the night, racing against time. They had found her, and they were not going to lose her again. What happened next would change everything, not just for Loretta, but for the entire town that had turned its back on her. Saturday morning, spring. Loretta sat on the porch like she did every day, holding Grady's notebook, watching the empty road. Days until the bank took her house. She had made peace with it, mostly. The house was just walls and wood. What mattered was what happened inside. The memories, the love. Those could not be foreclosed. But still, it hurt. She decided to work in the garden, one last time. If she had to leave, she wanted her grandmother's tomatoes to look their best. She was watering the plants when she heard it. Engines, not the usual rumble of pickup trucks, something deeper, smoother. She looked up. 3 black SUVs rolled down the dirt road, moving slow like a procession, the kind of vehicles that did not belong in Hadley Springs, the kind that cost more than houses here. Neighbors came out on their porches. Mrs. Vivian Hargrove pressed her face to her window. The SUVs stopped in front of Loretta's house. Doors opened. The first man stepped out. Tall, broad shoulders, gray suit, confident stance, but something about his eyes. Loretta's hand went to her chest. No, it could not be. The second man followed, muscular, military bearing, a scar on his forearm. Then the third, slender, glasses, kind face, and those eyes, blue-green, the same eyes she remembered from a terrified young boy who would not speak. The watering slipped from her fingers. "Grady?" The man with glasses smiled, that same shy smile from years ago. "Hey, Mama Loretta," his voice cracked. "I came back for my notebook." Loretta could not move, could not breathe. Parker stepped forward, the boy who had tested her every day, who had come home late and eaten her food in silence, who had learned to call her Mama. "We promised we would come back," he said. "We keep our promises." Tucker was already crying. The fighter, the angry one, tears streaming down his face without shame. Mama Loretta, that was all it took. Loretta ran, elderly now, bad knees, had not run in years. She ran. Parker caught her first, wrapped his arms around her, and held on like he would never let go. Tucker joined, then Grady, 4 people standing in a vegetable garden holding each other, crying. Years of separation, years of searching, years of prayers whispered in the dark. Over, finally over. They went inside. The boys, men now, looked around taking it all in. The creaky floors, the old furniture, the same rocking chair, the same wooden plaque above the fireplace. And on the refrigerator, faded and yellowed but still there, Grady's drawing, the house with the yellow roof. 4 stick figures, my family. You kept it, Tucker whispered. I kept everything, Loretta said. She reached up to the mantel, took down the leather notebook, held it out to Grady. I never opened it, not once. It is yours. Grady took it with trembling hands, opened it for the first time in years. Inside were his childhood stories, knights and dragons, magic kingdoms, but on the last page, something new, a letter, in his mother's handwriting, written before she died. He had never known it was there. She put it there for you, Loretta said softly. I figured you would find it when you were ready. Grady broke down completely. Parker took Loretta's hands, looked into her eyes. Mama Loretta, we know about the bank. We know about the foreclosure. Her face tightened. How? We have been looking for you for years. When we finally found you, we found everything. Tucker stepped forward. We paid off the mortgage, the whole thing. This house is yours now, free and clear, forever. Loretta's legs went weak. Parker caught her, guided her to the rocking chair. That is not all, Grady said. He had composed himself now, lawyer mode. We are establishing the Loretta Hayes Foundation to help foster families across Georgia, emergency housing, legal aid, scholarships. Loretta stared at him. And we want you to run it, Parker added, if you are willing. She could not process it. The numbers were too big, too impossible. I do not understand, she whispered. Why would you, how did you? Tucker knelt beside her chair, took her weathered hand in his. Mama Loretta, you walked through an ice storm for us. You fought a billionaire in court for us. You waited years for us. His voice broke. There is nothing we could ever do that would be enough, but we are going to spend the rest of our lives trying. Loretta looked at them, her boys, men now, successful, powerful, but still hers. She started laughing, then crying, then both at once. I prayed for this, she said, every night, every single night. I asked the Lord to keep you safe, to let you know I still loved you. She touched each of their faces. Parker, Tucker, Grady, and here you are. Parker smiled, that real smile she remembered. Here we are, Mama, and we are not going anywhere. But the reunion was not over because the boys had not just come to find their mother. They had come to face the town that had abandoned her, and they had something to say. By afternoon, word had spread across Hadley Springs. 3 rich men at Loretta Hayes' house, fancy cars, CNN cameras. Something big was happening. People gathered in the town square. First a few dozen, then 100, then hundreds more. By afternoon, nearly the entire town stood waiting. A small stage had been set up. Microphones, speakers, camera crews from Atlanta stations. Nobody knew what was coming. Parker walked to the microphone first. The crowd fell silent. Thank you all for coming. His voice was steady, commanding. I know you are wondering who we are. He paused, let the silence build. Years ago, we stood on this same street. 3 boys, our parents just died. No family, nowhere to go. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. We were rejected by several foster families, labeled as troubled, labeled as broken, and when the social worker asked this town, if anyone would take 3 orphaned brothers, he looked out at the faces, some confused, some uncomfortable. Silence. Not one person. The murmurs stopped. The crowd shifted, except one. Parker pointed toward the side of the stage. Loretta stood there, supported by Tucker and Grady, a black woman living alone, working 2 jobs, roof leaking, barely enough money to feed herself. His voice grew stronger. She did not have much, but she had a home. And she opened it to us. Tucker helped Loretta up the stairs. The crowd watched in stunned silence. This woman walked through an ice storm to save my brother's life. She fought a billionaire in court to keep us together. She never stopped loving us, not for one single day. Parker's voice cracked. Her name is Loretta Hayes, and she is our mother. The crowd erupted. Applause, gasps, some people crying, but Parker was not finished. Now let me tell you what happened after we were taken away. The applause died. This town turned on her. Rumors, whispers, lies. People said she mistreated us. People said she only wanted foster money. He stared into the crowd, searching for specific faces. She lost her job. She got cancer and fought it alone. She nearly lost her home. His jaw tightened. And where was this town? Where were all of you? Nobody answered. Tucker stepped to the microphone next. We came back to make things right, not just for Mama Loretta, for this whole community. He let that sink in. We paid off her mortgage. Her house is hers forever. Applause started. Tucker held up his hand. But that is not all. We are establishing the Loretta Hayes Foundation. The crowd went completely silent. This foundation will build a family resource center right here in Hadley Springs. It will provide scholarships for every foster child in this county who wants to go to college. It will repair and rebuild homes for families in need, he paused, including the families who said terrible things about our mother. Gasps, whispers, people looking at each other. Grady stepped forward last. the quiet one, the one who had stopped speaking all those years ago. Mama Loretta taught us something, he said softly. She taught us that kindness does not keep score. It does not hold grudges. It just keeps giving. He looked at Loretta. She was crying openly now. So that is what we are doing, giving to everyone, even those who do not deserve it. From the crowd, a figure pushed forward, Mrs. Vivian Hargrove, frail, shaking. She climbed the stage steps slowly, walked to Loretta, and fell to her knees. Loretta, her voice trembled. I was wrong. Everything I said, everything I did, I was wrong. Tears streamed down her wrinkled face. Can you ever forgive me? Loretta looked down at the woman who had made her life miserable for years, the woman who had spread rumors, who had gotten her fired, who had turned neighbors into enemies. Loretta reached down, took Mrs. Hargrove's hands, lifted her up. I forgave you a long time ago, Vivian. Her voice was gentle. Holding on to anger only hurts the one holding it. She pulled Mrs. Hargrove into a hug. The crowd lost it. Applause, cheering, people crying openly, strangers embracing. Something broke open in Hadley Springs that day. Years of whispers and judgment and silence washed away by one woman's grace and 3 boys who never forgot where they came from. Later, Hadley Springs was unrecognizable. The Hayes Family Resource Center stood in the heart of town, modern and bright. The nicest building for miles. Outside, a bronze statue caught the morning light. A woman kneeling down holding a child's hand. Beneath it, words carved in stone. A house becomes a home when it holds someone else's pain. The results spoke for themselves. Families had registered to become foster parents. Before the foundation, none. Students received full college scholarships, kids who had aged out of the system, kids who had been told they would never amount to anything. Homes had been repaired or rebuilt, new roofs, working plumbing, fresh paint on walls that had not seen care in decades. National newspapers called Hadley Springs the town of second chances. The boys stayed close. Parker moved into the house next door to Loretta, so Mama never has to be alone again, he said. He ran the foundation full-time, oversaw every grant, reviewed every application, made sure no child slipped through the cracks. Tucker built the Hayes Athletic Center on the side of the old community center. Free boxing lessons, basketball courts, after-school programs, a safe place for kids with too much anger and nowhere to put it. Grady opened a legal clinic inside the resource center. Free advice for foster families, free representation for parents fighting to keep their children. He was pushing a new bill through the state legislature, the Hayes Family Preservation Act, designed to keep siblings together in the foster system. Every Sunday, they gathered at Loretta's house. Parker and his wife, Tucker and his girlfriend, Grady and his young daughter. Her name was Elle, named after her grandmother in every way that mattered. The dinner table was crowded now, loud, full of laughter and arguments and spilled juice. Loretta sat at the head watching her family, her real family, the family she had prayed for all those years ago. One Tuesday afternoon, the phone rang. Eleanor Brooks, retired now but still making calls. Loretta, I know you are busy these days, but there is a little girl. Nobody will take her. Loretta looked out the window. Parker was pushing baby Elle on the porch swing. Tucker was firing up the grill. Grady was reading on the steps. Her house was full. Her heart was fuller. Bring her over, Elena. An hour later, a car pulled up. A little girl stepped out, scared eyes, clutching a torn backpack. Loretta walked down the porch steps, knelt in the grass, eye level. Hey, sweetheart, I am Miss Loretta. This is your home now. The little girl took her hand. Some things never change. Some things should not. So that is the story of Loretta Hayes, a woman who said yes when everyone else said no, a woman who walked through ice storms and fought billionaires and waited years, a woman who proved that one act of kindness can change everything. If this story touched you, if you needed to remember that quiet goodness still exists in this world, do me a favor. Hit that like button. It helps more than you know. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it today, someone who is struggling, someone who has given up hope. And if you have not already, subscribe and hit that bell because we have got more stories coming, stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced kindness from a stranger that changed your life? Drop it in the comments. Thanks for watching. Thanks for caring. I will see you in the next one. Years, that is how long Loretta waited. She lost her job, beat cancer alone, almost lost her home, never once stopped praying for those boys. Then 3 black SUVs rolled into Hadley Springs and the whole town went quiet. Everybody in that town had a reason not to help. Too risky, too complicated, not my problem. But Loretta, making little each month with buckets, catching rain on her floor, she said, bring them here. No conditions, no hesitation, and the world punished her for it. The court took her boys. The town called her names. Cancer nearly took her body, but it could not touch what she had planted in those kids. Because years later, 3 men worth a fortune each did not build a mansion or buy a yacht. They built a foundation in her name. That is not money talking. That is love coming home. And that is the thing. Kindness does not always pay off on your timeline. Sometimes it takes years, but it always comes back. Has someone ever showed up for you when nobody else would? Tell me about them in the comments. They deserve to be named. If this hit you, like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell. We tell this story every week. Love does not need a bloodline. It just needs someone who stays. Remember that.